Thank you for joining the post-game call-in show live from the Horn Studios in Westlake, Texas, wrapping up coverage of the Texas Orange-White game. Your final score, the White 21, the Orange 10, as we wrap up football until August, folks. And we're glad you can join us again. The call-in number, 512-447-3776. Please join the Specs call line and text line. Share us your thoughts on the game, not just your thoughts on the overall play, but how did you watch? Did you go down there and tailgate this morning? Did you take in the Made in Austin weekend? But before we get to that, let's welcome in the rest of the crew. Alongside myself, Ty Henderson. You can find him on Twitter at Texas Guy Ty. He is the producer of Beanie in the Morning, the host of the Lone Star Lowdown podcast, and does pretty much every other thing here at the Horn. Ty, how you doing, boss?
Good. It's pretty awesome that we got to watch some Horns football today, to get a little slice of what we might see next year.
It's a beautiful day in Austin today, and it kind of reminds me of those Saturday fall games,
I got that feeling driving up here. Windows down kind of day for sure.
Yeah, and unfortunately we have to wait until August before we get to enjoy that. Doing the ones and twos. He's a part of Flex ATX, the son of Aaron Hogan, Nolan Hogan himself. What's up, Nolan?
Hey, man, how are you?
How'd you enjoy the spring game today?
Just produced it and watched it with you guys.
Yeah. All right. So I think the biggest takeaway, well, obviously the score is 21-10. Ty, did you bet in this game at all?
Well, I told Bucky I had the Orange team on Friday, so
okay.
It looks like I lost.
Hell.
Wow. So you went against Quinn Ewers. What's up with that?
I didn't know who was on what team. Just Orange sounded better than White. That morning.
Well, it was White. Quinn Ewers was the quarterback for the White team. For the Orange team, a little bit of a potpourri. We saw Malik Murphy start, and then Arch Manning got a handful of series, and then Charles Wright, the walk-on, came in. But Ewers, I think he looked pretty crisp. Let's start off with the quarterback, guys. What did you guys make of Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning, and Malik Murphy?
We were still taking deep shots, and it felt like we were converting more with the plays that we saw today. No interceptions, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
A few drop balls early.
Yep.
But beyond that, it seems like they kind of got it fixed, a little cleaned up a little bit. That's probably my biggest worry still going into the year with Xavier Worthy and a few of the other guys. Can we clean that up from last year? But overall, with Quinn Ewers and Malik Murphy stole the show today. Honestly,
yes.
I think he solidified the number 2 spot in the depth chart. Nothing. Arch Manning didn't do anything super bad or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Malik Murphy really showed off that whatever they did to rework his arm, this throwing motion during the offseason really paid off because he was slinging that thing today.
Yeah, he has an absolute rocket, and he finished the day with 165 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 9 for 13, a QBR rating of 201.2. That's not bad for a guy that spent most of his time in Austin injured.
In the training room, yeah.
Yeah, he sat out for a little bit, I believe, of beginning of spring ball with some ankle stuff. I just remember the pictures as CB texted Malik Murphy is that dude. And Colin Bose texted in Murphy looking at that starting spot like a rack of ribs.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But at least if Quinn Ewers does go down for a game or two like he did
feel
last
good, right?
year, I feel about the same, if not better, than I did with Hudson Card going in last year.
And he's a big dude, too. He had the one play in the goal line they called down because the quarterbacks weren't live. So any touch, the play was called down. I think Ewers had a couple good plays where
all three quarterbacks did. Where they were running,
yeah,
they had lanes where they could have,
it was prematurely called down,
exactly,
but it makes sense. But he's 6'5", 235 according to the Texas football roster, and he's all of that. I think
he would have got in that end zone.
He would have.
I know Nolan sent some audio into the studio here while we were watching, and you thought that he would have got in, right?
Well, it looked like Ryan Watts was coming down head high, so I was like, he was going down.
That's it.
That's a big dude. That's a big dude. He's probably the least athletic of the three. Would you say though?
Malik Murphy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so big. Oh, I don't know. he ran pretty well in high school, didn't he?
Yeah, he was a good runner in high school. They showed his highlights, and he was cooking kids in the.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit more. I think Arch is actually a little bit more agile than we give him credit.
Yeah. He looked nimble today. It didn't look like anything like Peyton or Eli did towards the end of their careers.
He didn't look like a freshman either. He looked pretty calm back there.
Yeah. You were 16 for 23, 195 yards, a touchdown, completion percentage of 70%, QBR rating of 155.1. What did you guys think of Quinn Ewers today? I thought he looked pretty good. Ty, you mentioned the early The first series was kind of
They started slow. I mean, the
Yeah.
defense just came out with more intensity. It seemed like they wanted to be there more on a hot day that I know they haven't practiced in this
Yeah.
kind of heat all year. So that was definitely a factor in some of the early like sluggish performance from the offense, I think. But once they got together and stopped dropping balls, and Xavier Worthy had that deep ball that he caught, almost got in the end zone
Finally.
there.
That was
yeah.
a dime by Quinn. He dropped that right in the bucket.
And that was one that we saw last year's multiple times. Either the throw from Ewers would have taken him out of bounds, right? Or the ball would have been behind him, and Worthy's looking back, trying to find the ball, and then he, walks around, takes a long route way back to the Texas bench, and it's just like...
Or he drops it.
Yep, one of those two. CB, again on the text line. Both number 5s, A.D. Mitchell and Malik Muhammad, both showed out today. Let's start off with A.D. Mitchell, guys. That one-handed grab in the end zone, holy cow. I mean, he went up and snagged that. I thought A.D. Mitchell had a great game. Looking at his stats, he was on, I believe, the white team. 6 catches, 58 yards, 1 touchdown. He looks good, guys.
Yeah,
he
he
was
looked
worth
pretty good.
whatever the amount of money
I mean,
Texas
he
paid
looks
him.
like he has that championship experience, playing at Georgia for
100%.
Was he he's a sophomore, redshirt sophomore this year?
Yeah, I believe so.
So being in that, a championship program like Georgia for 2 years, coming here, I mean, getting some playing time there, he looks like he definitely isn't scared of the moment and feels like he should be out there as a starter, which, I mean, with this performance today, it looks like it's going to be him, Whittington, and Worthy as the top 3 guys.
Yeah,
with
so-
Nayor probably
Yeah.
rotating in once he gets healthy.
Well, if Mitchell is even if he's the number 3 or 4 option, I mean, think about how much that opens up the offense, right?
He's an outside option, a guy that you can
Yeah.
get to run comeback routes and out routes.
Yeah, he's 6'4", 195, so he can play the outside. He can body smaller cornerbacks very easily, and it opens up the middle of the field, I think, for Xavier Worthy. And for the rest of the guys, Jay Wett, I mean, he looks solid today, and kind of waiting to see what happens with Isaiah Nair. Casey Kane did not play. There was a handful of guys that sat out, including Casey Kane, Keelan Robinson didn't play. We didn't see anything of Jonathan Brooks today. Cole Hudson didn't play. I believe did DJ Campbell play? I think he was out.
He got nicked up
Yeah.
early. I remember he got
Him or
taken
Cam
out.
Williams got nicked up.
It was Cam Williams, yeah.
I think
So,
Campbell.
DJ Campbell was already out with a wrist injury.
Yeah, I think Campbell was out, and then Jalen Catalon, the safety, the Arkansas transfer, he's still trying to heal up from his shoulder injuries, and then Robertson was out as well. But and the other number 5, Malik Muhammad, spent a lot of time guarding Xavier Worthy in this game. And I thought Muhammad, he's a true freshman from DeSoto. No, Creek.
No, he's
South Oak Cliff.
Oak Cliff,
There, it was
yes.
something with the Cliff or Creek. He looked pretty good too. He held up as well. I thought Terrence Brooks did a good job as well. What was your guys' thoughts on the CBs today?
I mean, I think they look great. They made some good plays, breaking up passes in the early game, and then only a couple times did the receivers get behind him and make him look a little silly. But I mean, Jaden Blue, we just got a text in that said Jaden Blue looked really good,
Yeah.
and he cooked up some of those corners on that touchdown runner. He hit a spin move and then jabbed into the end zone.
The 2 highlight plays today was A.D. Mitchell's touchdown grab, and I think the Jaden Blue touchdown run, where there was a couple poor angles on tackling, but he spun and broke, 3-4 tackles on that touchdown run?
No, we saw some moves from the RB. Cedric Baxter Jr. today also had a nice cut that kind of, reminded us of what we saw last year from Bijan and Roschon. So, I mean, I'm confident even with adding Jonathan Brooks back into that rotation and Keelan Robinson, I think we'll be more than okay at running back this year, even if one of those guys decides to, hit the transfer portal.
Yeah, and coming out of the Washington game, I think the biggest concerns for me was, so much of the production came from Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson. The offense relied heavily on those 2 guys to do a lot of stuff. And in that game, we saw Jonathan Brooks, who wasn't 100%, even though Sark said it did not hamper him with that hernia injury. The offensive line, run game-wise, was not up to par.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about it all offseason, but I would like to see a little bit more of Blue in that game. I mean, he didn't play at all, and we were running Robinson in between the tackles, which is, we all know. I think he knows that's not really his game. I don't think he'll ever really be a 3-down back that you can anything beyond the gadget
You
plays.
can't run him in between the tackles.
Yeah.
He's not that type
so
of running back.
once he gets healthy, having that option of having a guy that you can run on jet sweeps and those kinds of gadget plays, I think will be huge for this offense. But I mean, we have a few different guys that can do that this year, I think. I mean, Brennan Thompson, he entered the transfer portal this week, didn't he?
Yes.
So you're losing a speed option there, but this team looked a lot faster than they did last year. In my
And
opinion.
supposedly Jaden Alexis was in the transfer portal. Well, this is confirmed by Jeff Howe of Horns 247 and co-host of Light the Tower. Asked him during the game, is Alexis still in the portal after he made a catch in the game? And Jeff Howe said, yes, he's still in the portal. So either Sark letting him play while he's in the portal, maybe Sark didn't find out in time. But going around, guys, who was one player that really stood out to you guys? And let's get your thoughts on the Specs text line as well, 512-377 or 337-3776. Or call in, guys, 512-447-3776. Phone lines have been kind of dry. But come on, guys, give us your thoughts. But first off, Ty Nolan, who was one guy who stood out to you today that we haven't talked about yet?
Beyond the guys that we've already mentioned, Ethan Burke,
Okay.
local product out of Westlake. He had a sack today.
Wow,
and
the Westlake plug. There it is, Nolan. It took 10 minutes before we got a Westlake plug in
You
the
knew
show.
it was coming. You knew it was coming. But I told you while we were watching together, beyond my biases, he looked like he was disrupting things on the defensive line up there. Even coming off a 2 technique off the line, was getting some pressure in the backfield, and also running down the field on a few plays where the defense busted it a little bit, and he was making up ground down the field. So I think he's going to be a big riser in the rest of the offseason. We should expect big things from him next season.
Paid 5 total tackles, 3 sole tackles, 1 sack, a TFL. How the Orange defensive line looked really good in this game. Going into this game.
Sadir Mitchell.
Holy cow.
That is a big dude.
Is a monster.
Mother of God. And he's a true freshman.
He should be in
Monster.
high school.
We
right
saw
now.
him.
He's 18.
He should be in the NFL. He's built for the NFL. Text coming in with the green jerseys mean, I believe, no tackling.
No
contact. So we saw A.D. Mitchell with that. I think basically everyone that looked good should got a green jersey today, because we don't want any injuries, right?
Well, we didn't
no
have
injuries.
No, I mean,
A couple guys who were nicked up. We
Yeah,
saw Cam Williams get up a little bit slow. Jaden Blue kind of walked off gingerly.
nothing catastrophic
Yeah.
though.
No, and one guy stood out to you today.
I thought on the Orange team, walk on Kai Woods from League City. I thought he was really good. He had a swing pass out of the backfield that was an easy gain, and then he had some explosive plays coming out of the backfield too. So I thought he looked really, really good.
He did have that one drop though, didn't he? Down the field, that
DeAndre Moore.
right before Jonte
Yes.
Cook had the 80-yard.
Beautiful ball from Malik Murphy. Put
Two-
it right where it needed to go.
2 in a row.
And the next play, Jonte Cook with that touchdown grab. Now, there was the poor cornerback who got cooked back-to-back plays, a walk-on. So, maybe just kind of factor that into your hype level. But
The ball was right when it
two
needed to be,
beautiful
though.
throws from Malik Murphy to Jonte Cook and DeAndre Moore, both true freshmen who hopefully will have a big part of this Texas offense.
And
moving
it's huge seeing that from a guy like Malik Murphy, who's
Yeah.
had, ever since he's been on campus. Sorry, we've heard. I mean, he's been injured, but beyond that, we've just heard about his kind of inaccuracy issues. Them reworking the arm, arm motion. To see him perform like he did today it shows that he might not need to transfer. He could eventually get some playing time here on campus.
A text coming in saying Cook's breakaway speed in the long pass was impressive. He's going to take the top off a lot of defenses. I agree. And another sneaky great play was Alfred Collins reading the screen and stopping his pass rush, then jumping to knock down the ball. It's a great play.
He said Blue still caught it there, didn't he? Though.
I think so. Yeah. But the point is, like, Alfred Collins is that guy,
He's a
and
freak.
yeah, me and Jeff, like we talked about at Cedar Creek. I've called a couple of his basketball games when he was in high school. The ceiling is there, as Michael Jordan says. The roof is the ceiling for Alfred Collins, but it's just his consistent level of play. Where throughout times in his Texas career, he just kind of like, oh, Alfred Collins is out there on the field. And like when he makes a good play like that today, you're like, okay, there's Alfred Collins. But sometimes, and it's been too many times where you're just kind of like, where is he at in the Texas defensive line? Texas defense need Alfred Collins to be that guy this year with Coburn gone.
Yeah, he's shown flashes of greatness, but it's just about the consistency with him to
Do you think it's
do it
effort?
every week.
I don't know. It's effort. It's just possibly just in the wrong. He's been moved around a lot on the defensive line, right? He's played out of position, I think, a few times, and I think if he can find his right spot on the D line, I think that will really help him to have a good breakout year.
Definitely. What y'all like from the linebackers today? I mean, David Gaminda had a big game. Jet Bush seemed
Jet
like
Bush?
he was in a
He's
lot
back?
of the early action. He had a sack, I think, and a few tackles for loss.
He stuffed it on the goal line in the first quarter.
I didn't really notice Anthony Hill today though, as much as I.
I saw a few plays from him. I think for the linebackers, for me, the less you talk about them, that better it means, right?
Kind of like the
Means they're
O-line,
not
yeah.
like going their direction or throwing.
Yeah, there
away.
wasn't a few plays where it's just like, yikes, there was a couple, the Jaden Blue touchdown run, which I believe was more on Jaron Thompson's angle, and of course, no Jalen Catalon, so hopefully Catalon comes in and cleans up that. But, I mean, it wasn't, I don't think, a truly impressive performance from the linebackers, but
Leona Lafau had a couple tackles
Yeah.
in there.
the true freshman,
True freshman, yeah.
he looked very good. Text coming in, I was at the game. It was good to see Whittington finding gaps and making yards after catch. Yeah, Whittington just kind of finding that soft spot in the defense. Ewers had some good throws to him, and
He stuffed Jaron Thompson.
He did.
On that third down.
Whittington's, if Whittington can stay healthy, he can be an X factor in this offense.
And he did last year.
Yeah, played every single game, the first time in his college career.
So we expect the same this year.
Can we get a text again from Colin Boss? Can we get a search and rescue crew looking for JT Sanders?
Yeah, they went after him on that first play, and it wasn't really there. But
Two plays in that first drive.
Yeah, and after that, I noticed that they seemed to not really give him any looks, which I expect to change hopefully when the regular season rolls around. Maybe they're trying to save it for then. But yeah, I noticed that as well, Colin.
And then another text coming in. Murphy, much better backup to yours than Hudson Card. I think Hudson Card caught a lot of flack this past season, but what he did, be able to step in this past season, I thought Hudson Card, if not for Hudson Card, this Texas offense would have looked a lot worse.
I think if you need to win one game, Hudson Card. But Malik Murphy's talking about ceilings.
Yes.
His ceiling is, he could. That's an NFL arm talent.
Yeah.
They just changed his arm motion over the offseason after they fixed his injury, so that like seeing that now, those good throws he made, the roof is the ceiling for him too.
And nobody was really talking about him going into this game either.
It's all was on Arch Manning, and understandably so. Texas fans very interested in
He got a
what
big
happens
pop
with
in
Arch.
from the crowd when he came
Yeah.
out on the field.
Yeah, it was very noticeable. But if Murphy can stay healthy and if he can continue to develop, I think that's key for every quarterback. We saw it with Quinn Ewers, right, where he wasn't, he missed a big part of his senior season or his junior season at South Lake Carroll, didn't play his senior year, didn't have a full spring at Ohio State, comes to Texas, then kind of gets into a new offense. It just takes a little bit of time for quarterbacks to develop. And I think Arch Manning is that type of guy who he wasn't going to come in and start game one. And I think this credit to his dad Cooper and Peyton and Eli. His 5-star rating was based on his potential and his IQ, not because he could come in and light it up from day one like a Malachi Nelson.
He knew that, too.
He knew that too, and that's why the whole stuff about, well, is he going to want to stay at Texas if Quinn starts? Yes, he chose Texas because of that reason. Malik Murphy is a number 2 quarterback. Don't get that twisted, guys. Malik Murphy is number 2, and I'm curious if yours doesn't play well the first couple of games, will that conversation start to come up a little bit more about should Malik Murphy be getting snaps?
Yeah, I don't think we'll have to worry about that.
Hopefully not, because that'll be fun.
Hope we don't.
He seems very, very comfortable compared to last year.
We got a text about his new haircut. He looks
Yeah,
very
thoughts on
good.
that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he looks great with the new haircut.
I mean, when he rolled out last year I do have a mullet right now,
You
so
do?
I can't talk
Somebody
any
has
smack
to do
about
that.
that. But with that beard too,
It does look, your mullet does look a little bit better than I think Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, it's a little bit more moderate.
I mean, especially when you started sweating, it would just kind of like rat tail together, and it would look a little gross.
Yeah,
and it seems like the team likes. I mean, I don't think they never didn't like him, but
Right.
it seems like he's more of a leader now because he's never been a vocal guy. But being able to build some relationships over the last 2 years have definitely helped him.
That seemed like a big teammate move. He was like, "Look, I'm making this change. I'm gonna be a new version, new me, new Quinn, and I'm gonna be for the team now." So, because I feel like that haircut was more for his image, and he was kind of holding on to it.
That was a South Lake thing,
Right.
He was just kind of holding onto the high school days. There's nothing wrong with that. I do that all
Right.
the time.
Did you? We're going to talk about Westlake, of course. We're talking about Westlake. Did you guys have like some? I know, like in baseball, a lot of teams they would either dye their hair blonde or like. Did you guys have like a hair
That was
thing
South
at Westlake?
Lake.
Yeah,
South
they
Lake.
did that too.
What was Westlake's?
We weren't allowed to do that kind of stuff.
You guys
one
just
of my
won football games?
One of my friends, he got he did when we played South Lake, he got cornrows in his hair, which as a white guy looked interesting.
Yeah, I think cornrows is next for me, right, guys?
Oh, yeah.
No one could do it. You could do a tie, but Nolan, you could definitely do it. When's the last time you got a haircut?
November
Okay.
of last year.
Another text coming in. Malik Murphy looked like a leader.
Yes.
Uh-oh, Ty. Same goes for Ty. Let the mullet go.
We're gonna run it for a month.
It's only
For
been,
a
it's only been like
month.
a couple weeks. With
I can
it.
only get it like one expensive haircut a month.
Anthony Hill got a sack. Thank you for the text. Yes, he did get a sack.
Okay, I missed that.
Post-game call-in show, guys, 512-447-3776. Appreciate the text coming on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776 for that. Coming up next, hopefully we get some callers in, maybe some audio from Steve Sarkisian and more as the post-game call-in show on the Horn continues in just a moment.
Welcome back to the spring game post-game call-in show. I'm Ty Henderson. I'm here with Cameron Parker and Nolan Hogan. Still no calls
Nothing.
on the Vaqueros text line. Once again, 512-447-3776. I think we're gonna play.
It's like the girls calling my phone, Ty. Both me
Nothing.
and the Specs calling line are dry. Unfortunately.
So let's go ahead and play this. Craig Way caught up with Steve Steve Sarkisian after the game.
It's been a long day for you, Tony.
Yes, it has. I've been here all day. But Nolan, let's go ahead and play that if you have it ready.
And the orange-white for 2023 has been played, and the white squad with.
Looks like they're set down there with Will and Sark.
Yeah. All right. So let's. Longhorns head coach Steve Sarkisian joins us now on the field there. Sark, let me get your thoughts on the way you saw it all unfold today. What the things that really stood out to you and what pleased you?
Well, I thought, first of all, it's always good to walk out of here, injury-free, which I think that's exactly what happened today. That's the first part. Second, I love that everybody got to play. When you do a spring game, a lot of guys have been working. The entire team's been working since January, winter conditioning, spring ball. So that everybody got an opportunity to go in and play and contribute, I think, is a great thing. But I think most notably, I thought we saw a lot of playmaking from the offensive side of the ball. A lot of skilled players, receivers, runners make some plays. I thought the defensive front kind of started stepping up in the second half, and so that was definitely a positive.
Yeah, and Sark, you got a lot of early enrollees or young guys that haven't seen a lot of action. How important was just to get out in this environment and, as you said, have a chance to make some plays?
Well, I think so. I mean, anytime you have to perform in front of people, right, that can be challenging, and that can just be a distraction where you're not kind of as dialed in as where you want to be, and I think we saw some of that today. Also, the heat, in September, it's going to be hot in DKR. Let's just call it like it is. And so to get these guys exposed to it right now they know why we run in the afternoon in the summer to get themselves ready for the season in fall.
Coach, you had some incredible explosive plays. You had the deep ball a couple of times fall in there. As we're looking at, we as fans evaluate the spring game, but talk us through how you evaluate. How are you looking at the performance of the guys going into the summer?
Well, I like looking at efficiency when the ball's down the field, one. And I thought we saw that today. There was a couple real shots taken. I thought the quarterbacks threw nice balls, and we created explosive plays. We had one drop there. The other side of it, offensive, I think, which was a positive, the ball wasn't loose today, right? They took care of the ball, and the quarterbacks made good decisions. But on the flip side, we've got to create more turnovers. And sometimes that comes when you're not contact on some of the players and the ball can't come out. But we got to keep striving to turn the ball over.
Sark, I always ask you this at the end of the interview, at the end of the spring game, about the timetable now for these guys, not only finishing the semester out academically, but the conditioning work, the things that go on, and what the coaches get into now to let Longhorn fans know what these next several weeks and few months will look like in the run-up before you get into fall camp.
Yeah, so for our coaches, they're hitting the road Monday. They're going recruiting for the next 5 weeks, which I know they're excited to get on the road, and we value recruiting a great deal. From a player perspective, we'll go back into the weight room and finish up some things with Coach Beckton here next week as they're finishing up school. Then the players got finals, and then they're getting a little bit of time off, which I think is needed. We can't work these guys 365 days a year. But when we come back after Memorial Day, summer school is going to begin. We start our summer workouts, and we're getting to it for 9 straight weeks. And we'll have the full allotment of our team. We should get everybody back healthy by that time, but we should also have an influx of the rest of our freshman class. And so that's a great time when we come back after Memorial Day, because that's really when we start to gel as a team. That's when we do a lot of our culture work. That's when we do a lot of the mental and physical toughness aspect of it. That's why we like to run in the afternoon in the heat. And that's when true leadership has to start stepping up.
All right. Hey, Sark, appreciate the time. I look forward to seeing you over the summer. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations on a fine spring.
All righty, guys. Thank you. Hook 'em.
All right.
Yeah, you heard it there. Steve Sarkisian visiting with Craig Wade, Roger Wallace, Will Matthews after the day's orange-white spring game. And we had a text come in from CB, CB's doing heavy lifting on this post-game call-in show. We got to credit CB for all the texts. RG3, who
CB
filled
the
in.
goat. He's the goat.
RG3 filling, yeah, he is the goat. RG3 filling in on the Longhorn Network broadcast. Remember, Lowell Galindo, Sam Macho, usually the team for that. Well, they're doing XFL stuff. So we got Alex Loeb, who is incredible, and then RG3, who, love him or hate him, is a very color analyst. And he said today on the spring game show is that Texas has had the most talent in this quarterback position he's ever seen before. Thoughts on that, guys? You agree?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
I think it's
does
the most
Quinn
you've
Ewers
seen in a
been
long
shown?
time.
Yeah, I mean, in the last since Colt McCoy was here with Jevin Sneed and those guys, Colt's freshman
But
year.
even then, like, 3 guys. You got three 5-stars?
I
Malik Murphy was a 5-star.
I understand what RG3 was trying to say.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, until any of these guys do anything, I mean, the potential's there. That seems to be the theme of this post game show. There's a lot of potential for a lot of these guys, but they need to go out during the regular season and then
All about
conference championship week and the postseason and prove it. Yeah.
You were 16 for 23, 195 yards, a touchdown. Malik Murphy, 9 for 13, 165 yards, a touchdown. Arch Manning, 5 for 13, 30 yards. The Arch thing, he was playing with a bunch of walk-ons, and he had probably the third string, fourth string offensive line guys, so can't really take too much out of that performance because he was running for his life for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But Sark did talk about the efficiency down the field, which, I mean, was one of the biggest concerns throughout all of last year. And going into the offseason, are we going to run the ball more? Are we going to keep throwing it down the field to Xavier Worthy and missing him 10 times a game? Well, I mean, how is that going to be fixed? And I think, we saw improvement today. A lot of down the field opportunities were there. The throws were there for the most part. I mean, I didn't really notice any major missed throws down the field. And the receivers were catching the ball beyond a few drops. I mean, we talked about Moore's drop that happened right before Deontay Cook's touchdown. But yeah, that was one of the biggest things I saw today that I liked on the positive side.
And Sark doing his post-game press conference right now with the Texas media. He said, I think the deep ball, well, we put a lot of work into it, and we're going to continue to work on it. I don't think we can say it's fixed, but I thought we saw some positive things today. Our offense is better when we can stretch the field. And that's a whole point of Sark's offense going back to Alabama and Washington is it thrives on the deep ball. Like the deep ball has to be there to spread out the offense. And Texas has not had the deep ball attack the last 2 years. And that's really hindered this Texas offense. I think you guys can agree with that, right? And so if Texas can have that deep ball, I think X was playing out of position last year. I think for him to be the deep ball threat, that's not who he is. Isaiah Neyor, A.D. Mitchell can be those two guys. And if they can come in, they can be healthy, they can help out and not make Xavier Worthy be double teamed every play and even have Sanders in there. The offense will open up not only for the run game, but for Quinn Ewers to play well.
Yeah, I still think Xavier Worthy is a deep threat just because of his speed, but I don't think we should be sending him down the field, just straight down the field.
No,
25 times a game like we were doing.
And even then, Quinn was just kind of focusing in on Xavier Worthy.
And that's Sark telling him that, though. Like, hey, we got a guy that runs a 4.28 on the outside.
Just kind of forcing it. They just didn't have that connection.
Yeah, and I think playing a year together, Jordan Winton, same thing. Just having that rapport over throwing balls to each other for a year plus, I think will help a lot. And A.D. Mitchell coming in, that dude seems like he's the biggest threat on the outside that I saw coming out of this game.
6'5", 6'4". Text coming in. What did you guys make of the kicking game / punting game? Didn't see too much. Woolstone had a 27-yard field goal.
It's weird seeing a lefty kick field goals.
Yeah, I still think Brett Auburn will be the field goal kicker. Woolstone will probably handle kickoffs. And then the punt game, Ryan Sanborn, the punter. Did he even punt today? I think Brett Auburn was punting for a little bit. Chris Ferris, the walk-on, was punting. I think he had one shank. So I'm not sure about Ryan Sanborn. Maybe he's not coming until...
I don't think he's here yet.
Not here yet. He's still finishing up his semester at Stanford. So we'll see. I think actually Sark was asked about it earlier this week about, how do you feel about the punting game with a punter you haven't seen yet? And Sark answered, well, I've actually been watching him for the last 4 years at Stanford. So Sark feels good about it. His stats last year were about the same as Danny Trejo. And Trejo was kind of like in the bottom half of the punting game. So it's not like it's Michael Dixon back there. But Brett Auburn looked pretty good last season. I don't know if it's going to be a huge plus for the Texas special teams unit this year, but I'm glad that we have another year of Auburn and Will Stone.
He was a little shaky past like 42 yards, though. And I think that's Will Stone has a little bit more of a stronger leg. So I think we might see, a little bit of a rotation there for accuracy for Brett Auburn, and the kicks that are 42 yards and then if we need a 45 to 52 yard field goal, we could see Will Stone come in.
And hopefully the offense is good enough where
we don't have to kick field goals
just
ever,
go for
Cameron.
It. Ever. Yes. Yeah, no field goals.
Only extra points.
I thought it was so cool. They put number 28 in the game. The unknown player in the last minute of the play. It looks like a good culture starting to blend. So happy for number 28. Can you find out his name? Murphy was on it. I'm happy about the results coming in. Number 28 coming in on the orange team, I believe.
No nameplate on his back.
Well, for the roster, technically it's Jaron Thompson coming in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was weird. I know Craig mentioned it, and he was in there with a quarterback who was number 27.
Interesting. So it was just a
running
walk-on?
back, no name plate on the back, number 28, and they're like, oh, this is about
A
right.
feel-good
Last
moment?
minute of the game. No, I mean he looked like it wasn't like a Make-A-Wish situation or anything like that. It looks like he was a college athlete, but definitely a walk-on.
How about Kai Woods today? The walk-on from, I believe, was it Cy-Fair?
It's not fair.
Yeah, he
was good.
He had some good
popped up-
moments.
He caught a few balls out of the backfield, popped off a few good runs. So
Because remember, no Jonathan Brooks, who is expected to be the RB1 going into next season.
I would have liked to see Xavion Red behind the ones on
okay.
the line a little
He
bit
was the
more.
one guy that I don't think we mentioned enough today was Savion Red. I thought he
Savion
looked
Red was great.
incredible. Run down on his numbers today real quick because he moved over again from the receiver position to running back. He had 2 catches for 5 yards, but 9 attempts, 45 rushing yards, average of 5 yards per carry. He was that guy out of high school that I kind of, watching his tape, reminded me of like Cordarrelle Patterson, where it's like he doesn't really have
I mean,
one.
he was a quarterback in high school.
Yeah,
right?
he played everything. He didn't have one particular position where you could pigeonhole him in. And I think if Sark can use him that way, where kind of like a Deebo Samuel type, I think that could be a huge benefit to this offense.
I mean, how many carries do you expect from him? Do you expect him
Carries?
to be a legitimate part of the offense?
Carries in a game like 5 to 10.
it's going to be how does Sark drop ways to get him involved? Because
Right.
the running back depth is huge because you have Jay Brooks, Keelan Robinson, Jaden Blue, who looked great, CJ Baxter, the incoming true freshman from Florida, and then you have Savion Red. You got 5 running backs to spread the tote around. Something's got to give. How can you find ways to get them involved? And you can get Savion Red involved in the passing game, but he looked pretty good as a running back.
He
today.
looked natural, and
He did.
I do think one of these guys will probably hit the portal before the regular season starts. I mean, there's a lot of talent, and I love all these guys, but there's no way that you're going to run a 5 running back rotation, and you got to give Cedric Baxter carries.
Yeah.
You know, Jonathan Brooks and Blue looked great today. Savion Red you can't tell them they're not going to get carries. I think Keelan Robinson might be a guy that, being out
Mhm.
with injuries often and throughout the spring, not getting a chance to play today, that could hurt him.
But there's also the chance, Ty, that someone gets injured. It's
That's
very
true.
it's
I mean, Jonathan
unrealistic.
Brooks, he's injured right now.
Yeah. And so isn't Keelan. It's unrealistic, I think, for they have 5 guys go out through the entire season, not one get injured for at least one game. So something's going to happen where someone's going to step up, I think. And honestly, it's not like the Bijan Roschon situation where you know who your top 2 guys are. I think Sark's going to probably mess around the first couple weeks of the season. It's going to change throughout the year.
Who do you think is going to be the starter by the Oklahoma game?
Oklahoma game, oof.
Because that's usually, when everything's set, that it's going to be for the rest of the year for the most part.
So Sark comes from that Saban coaching tree where, yeah, even Trey Wisner coming in from, was he DeSoto?
DeSoto.
I think Sark doesn't really use the depth chart to the side thing, so I think the starting running back could be Jay Brooks. It might say it on the actual, game notes handing out, but it might be
Who's getting the most carries?
it might be the guy getting the most carries. That might be CJ Baxter
Yeah. CJ Baxter.
or Jaden Blue. I mean, Blue looked really good today.
Yeah, they all look. I think all the running backs look good. With the point with Trey Wisner, I mean, his speed is unreal.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, he just he's just so explosive out of the backfield. So if he comes in and he adds his speed to the running back room, I mean that potential, like we've been saying all day.
Is he a fall
potential's
enrollee?
great. I think so.
So I think he'll be behind the 8 ball there coming in
Yeah.
the fall because you already got Blue and Baxter getting a little bit more time than him.
Right.
What do you think Ty will be the starting running back by LU?
I mean, CJ Baxter or Blue, I think.
Oh.
I probably CJ Baxter, though. He looked pretty good today.
I wouldn't count out Jonathan Brooks, man.
I wouldn't either. I mean, he's a dog, too.
Yeah, how
He's
Phil.
a dog. He looked
Yeah.
good in the bowl game too. Like I think if they gave him more touches, they win that game.
And
So-
we also got to see all of these guys behind the one offensive line.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's something that we're not really, taking into account fully, is that some of these guys were running behind walk-on offensive linemen and still making plays, and some weren't making plays because of that fact.
Before we wrap up our post-game call-in show without one single caller, how about that? Your favorite moment, favorite highlight, favorite play of the spring game, starting with you, Nolan.
I mean, it's hard to not say the A.D. Mitchell one-handed catch was the highlight of the day for me, but I think just the production overall, I think having the depth this season to actually have a spring game with an offensive line to have a few to put together,
Yeah.
the depth there and the depth at wide receiver looked good. I think everyone's looking explosive and they can put a real threat on any backfield and any defensive backfield.
Ty.
For me, I probably got to go with that Malik Murphy throw to Jonte Cook. I mean, I realized, like you said, it was on a walk-on corner, but just that ball, that was such a pretty ball.
Yeah.
And his throwing motion looks, I mean, I didn't really see it that much before, but it looks pretty now. I can tell you that much. And I'm excited for his future.
My two favorite moments, I think, seeing Jaden Alexis catch a football after finding out that he was apparently in the transfer portal. And also, Will Matthews, who was a great sideline reporter, was on the field interviewing Michael Griffin during.
We got a caller.
We got a caller.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Specs text line or Specs call-in line.
Hey, Hook'em.
Hook'em, you're on the air. How can we help you?
I want you guys to concentrate on the last time you had a quarterback rating of 200 in a spring game. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the call-in. And that was RG3's point was, when's the last time Texas had a quarterback room this talented? And you got to go back to the Vince Young, Chance Mock, Colt McCoy quarterback room when Colt, I believe, I think Mock was gone by then, but I think Young.
It was Norgen, Young,
Yeah.
and Colt as a redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
On the national championship team.
Well, we got one call-in, guys.
That was a great call. I think he made a great point there.
He did. He did.
You know that's going to be the narrative for the rest of the offseason, though, if we're talking about Malik Murphy.
I think
nobody was talking about him going into this game. It's crazy.
We can probably end on this one. The key to the whole day was no major injuries. Hook them horns. And a Google Voice call coming in, but we cannot answer that, unfortunately. So,
My bad.
But any other thoughts, guys, before we wrap up our post-game call-in show?
What do you expect our record to be at the end of the season?
15-0.
Okay, that's me every
Natty.
year.
Natty championship.
Realistically, I would like to see 10 wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's not 10, it's a disappointing season, I think.
Double-digit wins and an appearance in the Big 12 championship.
A Big
game.
12 championship win.
Yeah.
Is where I'm at.
Oh, we got 2 more callers.
All coming in right as brother end the show. All right, let's hit one more before we end up caller. You're on the air.
Hey, thanks for letting me call. I think Sark's going to find a way to get Red on the field. There was a key play, and it was a 10, maybe 15-yard slant, and Arch overthrew him. He was going to score if that ball's on the money. And I don't know where. I wasn't watching. I don't know where he came from, but he was very upset the ball was overthrown. But there's no way you're going to keep Savion Red off the field. They're going to have to maneuver ways, sneak ways to get him on the field. But the other thing I saw was I haven't seen a Texas team at least without gaping holes. This is the first spring game there may be weak spots, but there's not gaping holes. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you for the call. Yeah, I think you're spot on Savion Red. Sark's got to find the ways to get him on the field, and I think we talked about that in our call-in show today, that you can't just pigeonhole him to one position, and hopefully Sark will figure out a ways to get him either the touches, either it's coming out of the slot, out of the backfield, but whatever way it is. Hey, we appreciate all the callers that came in at the last second before the buzzer on our post-game call-in show. The last one until August of this season, guys. It's going to be a long ways to go, but Ty Nolan, thanks for all your work today. Again, your final score on the Texas Orange-White game, the Texas White 21, the Orange 10. We'll see you guys in August.
Hook 'em.